Hello, Athena's parenting community. How is everyone this Monday morning? We're going to discuss a very important topic today. Yes, some of you have asked me on the question about how do I help my child with preparing for exams without constant supervision and nagging. So, who all are here? Hi, Sophia. How are you? Long time. What's happening? How have you been? I'm just checking out whether you... Okay, you can hear me. Nice, loud and clear. Yes? So yes, I think a lot of us struggle. Exams are about to come and I have had so many parents book in sessions with me because their children are blanking out during exams, because their children are panicking, there is so much of stress. So I've had so many parents booking sessions with me recently for this particular topic, because here in UAE, a lot of the schools have exams, especially for the year 10s, children who are in grade 10, in grade 12, whoever has board exams, mocks have started and exams are catching up. And anyway, exams is a topic I think that is valid year round, and children have tests all year round. So I think it's just important to discuss a couple of things related to exams and exam related stress, and sometimes I think it is the parents who are actually more stressed out than the kids. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, in my mind, how I'm going to do today's live is to divide it into two sections. One section is for the children, what you can actually do with the children, and the other section is to do with you and how you can manage the family environment. So as parents, you and I, what do we want to do? We want our kids to succeed. And when I say succeed in life, all of us know that a good solid education and good marks will ensure that they get into a better university, get into a good profession, and are successful in life. So this is, in the most simplest form, this is what success means to us. And of course we want our children to be happy. Sometimes when I'm talking to parents and the parents say to me, we want a child to be happy also. It's not just about the marks in the university. And I agree with you. I'm a parent of two teenagers, an 18-year-old who is going to embark into another phase of her life when she leaves home and goes to college in a university in America, and a 15-year-old. Both of them are going to be giving board exams. My son's mocks are starting on the 24th. So both of them are giving mocks and board exams this year. So I'm going to start with myself first, or should I start? I think I'll start talking about what you can do with your kids with regard to exams and how to prepare for the exams. So the first thing is, just how you have training wheels on a bicycle, you are the training wheels when it comes to inculcating the right habits for your child to study for his exams or her exams. A couple of basic things. One, he needs to have a space to study, whether it is a table, whether it is in his room, wherever it is, it needs to be the same place every day. So the key word here, I would say, is consistency. The second thing is, it should be a clean, clear place. There should not be other things on it, on his table or his study area. Basically, it should be free from distractions, so he doesn't play around with things, and he can focus and concentrate on his studies. So the first thing is a table, a desk, a room, whatever you can provide for him, but his study area. Secondly, the study area, the table or the desk has to be absolutely clean, clutter-free and clear so that he can focus. To focus, you have to understand that we need to also keep the physical space clear, and clutter free. The third thing is consistency. That is his study area, that is his table, and that's where he needs to study every day. Whenever he studies, he can't keep changing places. Keep the place consistent as much as possible. So at least 80% of the times, if not 100% of the times, so that he knows this is the place. You know what happens is, like, my chair in my coaching room is mine. I do not allow it to go into the living room. I don't allow anybody else to sit in it, because this chair carries my energy where I am coaching. So when I sit in this chair, my muscles have muscle memory, my body aligns in a particular manner, my soul aligns in a particular manner, my spirit, my emotions align in a particular manner, and I feel more empowered and more focused when I sit on this chair, because this chair is like my physical anchor. I know that I have a job, a profession as a coach when I sit on this chair. So it automatically, everything aligns in a particular manner when I sit on the chair. So in the same way, that is why I'm being so particular about your child's physical area, because it is important. The fourth thing is, what are the rules you're setting up around gadgets and phones during the study time? So my advice would be, you can tell your child you can go back onto your gadgets and your phones, but if you're going to study every day, let's say from 6 to 8 p.m. for those 2 hours, if your children are older, I can't take my son's or my daughter's phone from them, but I have designated an area where they need to keep it. They switch it off and they keep it there. So your children need to surrender the gadgets at that particular time on that table, central place where you can see that they have surrendered it. Now, the obvious things, please ensure, some parents ask me the obvious things. Is it okay if I watch TV? I'm sorry, it is not okay. If you have loud television blaring and you expect your child close by to you to study, we are helping. So like I said, the cycle is the place. You are the training wheels of the cycle, and you are going to provide the support and the environment for your child to be able to focus during his study time. So leading up to the exam, we are trying to sort out the physical area. So you have to also participate by not exactly watching television just when your child is studying, and then expect him to be so focused that he doesn't get distracted by the television noise or so on and so forth. So you need to provide that physical space. The other thing is the timing. I think it's important that your child realizes that it is. So I also have a schedule. So every Monday morning, I have a schedule to be here with you guys in this parenting community. And therefore, I have a schedule of when I am with my clients. I have a schedule of when I'm doing my live calls. I have a schedule of when I'm doing my emails. So I think children need to have that clarity in their mind that, and if you have older kids, it's important you leave it up to them, ask them, so that there is clarity everywhere that, okay, for the little ones, you might need to sit with them. You can decide. Little ones means, I would say 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, that when they come back from school, give them a snack, sit with them, whatever. So that's your little ones. But the older ones, you need to ask them, when do you want to study in the day? So I know my neighbor has a very conscientious and studious child, and that child, she was away, so I was looking after her kids, and they would come back from school, and the first thing they would do is they would have their snack, change their uniform, get into casual clothes, and they would sit down and study. And my son, on the other hand, when he comes back from school, he needs to unwind, he needs to go out, he needs to play, he needs to sweat and come back after going either to the gym. So I have a 15-year-old, right? So it's after going to the gym, coming back. So he thinks he's had a full day in school, and after that he needs a break. So he will go out, he will run around, he will play, he will go to the gym, he will swim, whatever he needs to do, and he will come back home and then concentrate. So that's fine. So you need to ask your children. But why am I saying this is because it is so important that you and your child have an understanding about the time he's going to study. Why? Because otherwise it becomes a verbal tug of war every day, and we don't want that. We want your child's study period to be set. Either it is from 6 to 7 with a dinner break, and then 7:30 to 8:30, whatever suits your child. Ask your child whether your child needs an hour to study, 2 hours to study, 3 hours to study. Just have clarity, and it's not set in stone as in 6 can't become 6:15. I'm just giving you a range for your older kids. That, and why I'm advising this is because I want you to be clear and your child to have clarity, and remove this everyday tug of war about when are you going to study, what homework do you have, and so on. So what you have to understand is, today's topic is about how do I make my child study without supervision. That's the topic. So it's the same as how do I make my child cycle without the training wheels. So if we take the analogy of the training wheels, we don't just give them the cycle and remove the training wheels. We allow them to practice with the training wheels. And that's your job as a parent. So what am I doing currently? I'm on to the third level where my daughter is driving. So what is she doing? So now I sit next to her and I'm guiding her, checking her, still looking in the rear view mirror with her, looking at the side view mirrors with her, so that I see that she is driving to her fullest capacity. If she is tired or sleepy, I do not allow her to drive the car, because I am training her to understand that it is so important for her to be alert and awake when she's driving. So there are different stages, yeah, from training wheels on a cycle to driving. So I'm at that stage with my 18-year-old. It's a wonderful feeling about now sitting next to my daughter while she drives the car, but I'm still there, yeah, supporting her. And the other day, on Friday, when I knew the roads were clear, we have a grocery store very nearby, and I asked my son to go with her, and she drove alone to the grocery store and came back. But it's like, I think 3 kilometers or 4 kilometers from here, and I allowed her to do that. So it's step by step with supervision, the right sort of encouragement, gauging when I can let her go. So I could let her go that Friday to go to the grocery store, buy the stuff and come back. Yeah. So that's the next stage. So once you are the training wheel, you've put all these things in place, your child has his or her room, the desk, and the desk is absolutely clear, uncluttered, so that he can focus. The third thing is an arrangement with regard to the telephones and gadgets, and the fourth thing is the timing. Yeah, the timing is very important. What is the time? And the fifth thing is for you to understand that you also cannot have the television blaring while your child is studying. So these are the 5 physical things around your children's area that needs to stay consistent. So the key word when it comes to studying is consistency. That is what we need to develop. So because, coming back to my daughter's example, because she's literally been driving every day, she's getting better and better and better at it. Yeah, I couldn't have just given her the car one day and say, okay, you can drive to school now. My husband allows her to drive in the morning to school while he's sitting. Then when I drive, we're coming back home, I allow her to drive back home. So in the same way, the training wheels are needed when you're helping your child to cycle, because your child is developing, is not confident, is developing the confidence to cycle, to understand the muscle movement, the push and the pull of the pedal, and holding the bars and looking left and right. So he's developing those skills in his physical body. And what happens is, once you develop the skills in the physical body, then your skills become unconscious. It's just like how we put on lipstick today. The first, second, third time we were very careful. Today you can literally close your eyes, put your lipstick on in a couple of seconds and leave. So it's a skill you develop with practice. So studying is a skill. Independent studying is a skill that children need to develop, but with your guidance. So you have to understand that you play a crucial role when it comes to helping your child focus in studying. And then coming on to the other side is you and me as parents. We have to be very realistic about the aptitude of our child, how much my child. So I have, like I said, an 18-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old son. I have to be very realistic in terms of how much my daughter studies and how much my son studies. I cannot compare the two children. My daughter is very conscientious, very focused, very hardworking, and can study a lot. My son, on the other hand, is very sharp, not equally focused, but he needs to have a lot of fun during his day to be able to fun, as in, like I said, sports activities, swimming, running, jumping, coming back, and then studying. So what we have to understand is every child is different, and as parents you have to understand, and after understanding comes acceptance. For me, I also struggle, so it's not like after seeing my daughter study for hours and hours, make notes and notes, I have to accept that my son is not the same. He has his own methods of studying. But what we try and keep in the house is the keyword consistency. He has his room, he has his table is clutter free, he's got his stuff, gadgets are not allowed, there's a timing so that I don't have to ask him. I know this is his time for studying, and we ensure that they're not disturbed during that time. But my expectation that if I expect my son is going to study 5 hours, if my daughter is studying 5 hours, that's where I am going to be wrong. I need to be real in terms of how much of study my son is going to put. But what we're trying to establish is a regular study pattern. So starting off December holidays, because I knew we were going to have study leave, we're going to have a midterm break, we're going to have Easter break, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of breaks and holidays leading up to the board exams. I told him in December, I said every day for the next 6 months till your GCSE board exams are not over. So my son had this habit of getting up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on holidays. I said, you're no longer allowed that. But what happens is he wakes up at 1 o'clock, he has lunch, then he wants to run, go to the gym or whatever on a holiday and come back and study. So he would only get a couple of hours. So it was his way of sort of sidestepping it, and I said, that's not going to work anymore. You need to sleep on time and you need to wake up on time for the next 6 months, and then you're cool. You can go back to whatever routine, but you can't be waking up at 1 and 2 in the afternoon. So since December, so you see the GCSE exams are in May 2019. So December 15th, 2018, when the first holiday started, I got him to sleep on time so that he could wake up, and he had to be at his desk at 10 o'clock with no computers and no phones, and he had to put in a solid, this is holidays, yeah, 6 months prior to his exams, because I could foresee that we needed to develop a pattern for him, because his study habits were very not consistent, or he studies but there wasn't a pattern, there wasn't like I said, like 11 o'clock every Monday morning, I know I have to sit on this chair. So that was missing, and that commitment was missing. So starting December 15th, he woke up at whatever time, he was sitting on his desk at 10, he would study for 3 hours, from 10 to 1 we would have lunch, and then he could have his gadgets and computer and do whatever. Yeah, this is just in the holidays. And then we have continued that. So on weekends now, on Fridays and Saturdays, he knows he has to get up early. Once in a while, if there's a late night, or we've gone out as a family, there are exceptions to the rule. But now I put the training wheels on in December, and now he's on his own. So he is studying on his own, and he's got a pattern developed, and he knows that he can't wake up at 2 and 3 because he needs to put in that 3 hours of study, and the rules around his gadgets. So all those things, he knows what is expected of him. Important word, expectations. So like I said, first let me finish that the training wheels were on since December, so he had 6 months to practice waking up early and on time. Early, yeah, for him waking up at 9 is early, and getting on to study at 10. So it's relative. Your early could be 5 in the morning and your child could be most productive at 6. So these are just benchmarks of what I'm doing that I'm sharing with you. So he will be at his desk and put in solid 10 to 1, 3 hours of studying, which is good. And so he's tried to continue that. He's not perfect at it, but that's cool because there is a method, there is a consistency. I know he's going to study for 3 hours. He knows that is what is expected from us, and he does it. So it is a much smoother, less nagging, less shouting, less screaming, less tug of war in the house, and he knows what to do over the next 6 months. Coming to the word expectations, like I said, I have toned down my expectations of how much my child is going to study, how his method of studying is, because I spent a year literally telling him to write notes. He doesn't write notes, and now I have accepted the facts that maybe that's not his method of studying. He wants to use audio learning, he wants to read, and sometimes in life you might not do as well, and that could be your wake up call. So that's cool. So there is a lot of acceptance we as parents need to do, as in what I'm accepting the child is going to study, how he's going to study. So you have to come to a balance. And why acceptance? Why is it important? Because you are the center of the household. If you are at peace, then the home environment will be at peace. Otherwise, it's just like that distracting, loud television noise that is going to distract your child. So, yesterday I had a mother come in because her son, her son is also going to give his board exams, and he has started blanking out in his papers, and he started getting panic attacks, anxiety attacks. And now she's bringing her child in Feb when the exams are in May. And I knew when she told me that, she said, my son is very bright and he slips, but when we shout and scream at him, and when I take away everything, and when I become really strict with him, he pulls his socks up and he fares better. And then as soon as I become a little lenient, he drops his grades again. What is the skill we're trying to teach our child in doing that? And I'll tell you what happens to a child like that, because I had a similar child come to me when he was 18 and he left for university, and he said, I didn't go to class in university and I couldn't study because I didn't have my parents nagging me. He actually said that to me. I'm so dependent on my parents. So we need to be careful that, are we leaving the training wheels on for the rest of our child? Are we going to take the training wheels off and allow our child to cycle, and he might fall down and hurt himself? But he will learn then to better his skill at cycling and cycle by himself. You don't want your child to have the training wheels on for the rest of his life. So this child is blanking out under extreme anxiety, exam pressure. He knows the stuff, but when he sees the paper, he goes blank. He goes blank, and I'll tell you why. Because he is so scared of the fear of failure. He thinks he's going to fail. All the negative comments of his parents come flooding back to him. If you don't study, you're going to fail. You're going to do so badly. You have not put in enough effort. You need to do this. You need to do that. And all the anxiety of the parents gets mapped onto their children. So please be aware, parents. When you ask me how do we help our child to study, important to be the training wheels in a positive manner. And then accepting how your child studies and understanding that sooner or later, if at some point he's going to do badly, he needs to understand where he needs to buck up, where he needs to improve himself. Yeah? And it is for you to be able to create that peaceful environment. That is why you need to accept that this is how much my child, if you have more than one child, you know that all the 3 or 4 children that you have study in different manners, study for different amounts of time. Besides the part that I explained earlier about consistency, you need to learn to accept each child as different. Accept that each child studies for a different amount of time. Accept that each child's studying patterns are different. Accept that each child is going to bring different results home. So when you, can we just for 5 seconds do this, all of us? I accept you. So obviously there's always one child amongst the four who annoys you the most, or one child amongst the two who doesn't listen to you. That's the child we struggle with. And that's the child for whom we're asking this question. Unless you accept your child as is, you need to drop the barriers so that your child feels comfortable. And most important, give the ownership of the results onto your child. Make your child understand that he is now riding the cycle on their own and he needs to be alert and he needs to look left and right and he needs to balance because the training wheels are no longer there and he has to bear the brunt of his fall by himself. Your knee is not going to get grazed if he falls off the bike. Yes? So it's so important for your child to take ownership. But how can you take ownership? I will explain to you very simply. So this is what we do as mothers, as fathers, as parents. This is your result. It is such a good result. I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you. And then you put it on Facebook. And then you share your children's trophies and medals. And what do? You feel proud. My child has got the trophy. My child came first. And your child looks at you and says, oh, I really made her happy. She is so proud. Well done. Yeah? And now what do? When your child is the one who is failing, or your child is the one who is not studying, what do? Oh my God, you're not studying. Do you know you're going to fail? You know what's going to happen. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. And what are you doing? You are holding on to his studying. You are holding on to his failure. You are taking ownership. Of course, you're not putting it up on Facebook, but you are taking ownership of your child's failure. How is your child going to feel bad? It's literally like you've taken the training wheels off, you sit on the cycle, you cycle a little bit, you fall off and you hurt your knees. Child's not hurt his knees, he's not going to feel the pain. So till you hold on to your child's failure, or till you take responsibility for your child's failure, how can you, the simplest way of understanding today's life is, the question was, how do I make my child study for his exams without constant supervision, is you take your child's results and you hand it over to him here and say, this is the consequence of your results. I'm not holding the win or the loss. This both belongs to you. Here, you take it. If you fail, you have to learn from it. If you win the trophy, that's good for you. It's going to help you. Stop taking ownership of your child's success or failure. Be happy for them. Be proud of them. But stop taking ownership for your child's success or failure, because till you are holding on to this, your child is not feeling the joy or the loss of his failure. Cool? So I think that was important for you to understand. I hope I made myself clear. Any comments? Please tell me what you all felt. Do you agree with me about the ownership part of it? I think that is the most important element of helping your child to study, is to give the ownership of his actions to him. It's like telling your child that the iron is hot, the iron is hot. But one day when he actually touches the iron and burns his hand, he actually learns his lesson that the iron is hot. You can't touch the iron, burn your finger and show it. I think some parents might even go to that extent of doing it. But it's about giving the ownership of your child's success or failure to him. Start with the training wheels. What I spoke about clearing the physical space, understanding your expectations of your child, how he's going to study, what results he's going to bring, and accepting. so that you can create a peaceful environment for your child. And the most important thing is, give him the ownership for the trophy, give him the ownership for his fails. Only then will your child take ownership, take charge of his life, and decide, yes, I need to study hard. I need to do this. Yes, 8 years is 8 years is early, Sabine, but the point is, at 8 years, then you need to manage your expectations. You need to manage what you are expecting of your child. You have done the program, Sabine, so you know we have a module on expectations. So you have to understand at 8 years old, what am I expecting from your child? So today's live is for children across the board, from 18-year-old, 15-year-olds, 10 years old, and 8 years old. Are you creating that physical space? That was the part A. The part B was, what are you expecting from your child? That is the part B. Are you looking at your child in reality and understanding how interested your child is in what is given to them? Of course, there are ways of making them more interested. That's not for today's. You have to understand the aptitude of your child, the capability of your child, and accept. Once you accept and become a calmer parent, you will create a better environment for your child. And the third and C part of today's life was the ownership. You need to give ownership of your child's success and failure to them. Only then will they be self-motivated to achieve their goals in life. So continue with the comments if you're going to hear, and awesome, I'm so glad. That's what you think, Shakila. What was never in your thought? Please comment below. I'll be replying to your comments. Continue to comment below, and I look forward to talking to you all soon. Take care. Bye for now.